You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Get ready, it's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk. Of course, from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q, and on the line, DC is chiming in. What's going on, DC?
What up?
And this is podcast 224 on the Sports Coma. That's right, episode 224. And in this edition of the Sports Coma, we're going to be covering the Saints cuts as they cut down all the way to the 53-man roster. We got all the news, we got all the information for you to brief you and get you ready for the upcoming season as the Saints chop it down to 53, the league mandatory 53-man roster. So on this show, we'll cover that, as well as we'll give you our takes on who the Saints decide to keep. And some topics during the show, of course, is Nate Stupar. The Saints filling out offers to potentially trade Nate Stupar, what according to our roster that we receive is on the active roster. So the Saints trying to move him. Also, Devereaux Lawrence, one of our favorite guys who really showed out during the Saints camp. He was moved to another team. We'll tell you about that. And also, like I said before, the surprising cuts that we had, seeing that the Saints made, really surprised us, a few of them, and we'll get right into that. And, of course, the Sports Coma's question of the day, which is, which cuts surprise you the most? Very simple question. Put it in the comments section below. Remember that we read all our comments from a question of the day. Remember that. Okay, DC getting right on into it. The Saints made the cuts. They got it down to 53. Some very interesting cuts. Nonetheless, some surprising, some not surprising. So we're going to go over them first, hit them, and then we're going to come back and give our takes on them. First of all, from the first day of the cuts, wide receiver kick return to Brandon Tate, who the Saints brung in to solidify the position. Looked like he had it. You know, the Saints decided to cut him, not saying that they could possibly bring him back in some kind of capacity. Not sure about that, but they cut the wide receiver kick return to Brandon Tate. Cornerback Lyndon Stevens, one of the undrafted young cornerbacks, he was released. Hopefully he'll be a practice squad guy. Aloy Kakaha, we talked about that in the previous podcast about how we felt Kakaha wasn't going to make it. The Saints made it official. But Jaron Elliott was also released on day one. Don Barclay, the offensive lineman brought in from Green Bay, he didn't make it. Wide receiver Michael Floyd didn't make it as well. Undrafted tight end Deion Yelder didn't make the cut on the active roster. No surprise there. Defensive lineman George Johnson was released. Linebacker Keyshawn Freeman was released. Also, defensive back Robert Nelson Jr. is not here anymore. Defensive tackle and undrafted lineman Henry Mondu didn't make it. Defensive end Alex Jenkins from overseas, he was released. You best believe he's going to be on the practice squad. Defensive tackle Woodrow Hamilton was also released. The Saints did put Shane Vereen on the injured reserve along with Hooman, who was stuffed on the injured reserve. And also other cuts from day two was quarterback Tom Savage. No surprise there, although some information was saying that the Saints were looking for possible trade partners for Tom Savage. Then they just said outright released him. Running back Jonathan Williams, who was here with the Saints last year.
So wait, they tried to trade Tom Savage, but not him?
They tried to trade, but nobody wanted him. So they
why not try to trade Jonathan Williams?
Jonathan Williams was released. They cut him. That's a big surprise there. We'll go over to it. Offensive lineman Rick Leonard was released. The Saints released one of the draft picks. Tight end John Phillips was released. Defensive back Sherrod Niesman was waived with an injury designation. So, of course, he's not on the team. JT Barrett, no surprise there. He's released. Defensive tackle and the best football name on the team, Jay Bromley, was released. Tight end Garrett Griffin was released as well. Offensive lineman Josh Terrible Laribas was cut. Cameron Moore was also released, along with also Natrell Jamerson, along with him. Offensive lineman Nate Wozniak, the big 6'10" fellow who was converted from tight end to offensive lineman. Not a successful transition there. He was also released. Cornerback Marcus Williams, not the safety, but the cornerback who came over from the Texans and Jets, he was released. Wide receiver Tanner McElvoy, who was signed on the same day as the trade for Bridgewater, he was released. Colton Jumper was released. Wide receiver Keith Kirkwood is released. Hopefully he makes it to the practice squad. Offensive lineman Landon Turner has been with the Saints the last couple of years. He was released. And, of course, defensive El Kadeem Muhammad was released by the Saints, making it official. Okay, that's a few of the things. And, of course, another move the Saints made, they couldn't trade Tom Savage, so they did move defensive lineman Devereaux Lawrence. They traded him to the Cleveland Browns for a 7th-round pick for next year. It's a 2019 7th-round pick. So the Saints get them a 6th-round pick for Teddy and a 7th-round pick for Devereaux Lawrence, as they kind of piling up on some picks for the upcoming draft. DC, before we go into the rest of our topics, what are your thoughts here on the Saints cuts and acquisitions? Which some of these cuts really surprised you the most?
Natrell Jamerson was definitely a big surprise. I thought he played, decent for a rookie who's transitioning from safety to cornerback, man. He's fast. He hits. He made solid tackles to prevent people from getting first downs. Of course, he wasn't excellent as a shutdown cornerback, but thought he had a lot of room to grow. That was a surprise to me. I knew he was going. I just knew he was going to be like maybe the 5th cornerback or something, man. Jonathan Williams was probably the biggest surprise. With his touches, he probably ran for 100 and something yards throughout the preseason. Guessing maybe 25, 30 carries, maybe a little bit more. So he scored a couple of touchdowns, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. So I was thinking he was going to be the guy to not get the bulk of Mark Ingram's touches, but a guy that was going to help fill that void with him out. And for them to cut him, it speaks volumes, man. So that was very shocking to me for them to cut him. And also Kareem Moore and Rick Leonard. So we cut 3 of our draft picks. This is very, very unusual. All our depth charts, everybody who gave a depth chart prediction is totally wrong. It's like all upside down. So those 3 guys, though, man, I thought those 3 guys, or at least 2 of them, would for sure be on the team. So that was very shocking.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Jonathan Williams thing. With everything that was said, the momentum was on his side. The fact that they released Wes and gave him more and more snaps, he didn't hurt himself, but it's still a surprise to see him get knocked off of that. The Rick Leonard thing, that's another surprise. The Saints don't usually cut their high draft picks like that. Now I know Rick Leonard is he's the 4th-round selection this year. They don't usually cut those guys. He wasn't that terrible, but he was pretty decent enough to make the team. In my estimations, he made my roster, but I'm pretty sure the Saints hoping that he clears waivers so they can put him on there along with Natrell Jamerson. Most surprised about the Natrell Jamerson thing as well. Wasn't expecting that. But, of course, the Saints did move some of these guys. Of course, they haven't released the practice squad roster, which we anticipate a lot of these men will end up on the practice roster. Of course, for those who might not know, you can hold 10 players plus a foreign player on your team. And, of course, Alex Jenkins would probably be that foreign player. And the Saints, to me, I think Woody Hamilton, guys like JT Barrett and the likes will end up on the team. Lyndon Stevens, guys like that, no doubt about it, to me, could possibly end up practice squad. Now, let's go over the active 53-man roster according to what we were able to get here from the New Orleans Advocate, showing the current 53-man roster. As the quarterback stand is Breeze, Bridgewater, and Hill. Running backs, Elvin Kamara and Bo Scott as listed, and fullbacks are Zach Line and Trey Edmonds. Now, remember, the Saints could use Trey Edmonds as a 3rd reserve back because really his regular position by trade is he's a running back. So, in essence, they could use Trey Edmonds at the running back room as well. Wide receivers, Mike Thomas, Ted Ginn Jr., Tre'Quan Smith, Cam Meredith, Austin Carr made the team. That's right, Austin Carr is on the team. We called it. Tommy Lee Lewis made the team. We didn't call that one. So that was a real surprise to me. I thought
So we still need a return man.
Right. So I thought Brandon Tate was a guy that outperformed him, and I know what happened with that Tommy Lee Lewis thing, man. I'm telling you what happened when Sean Payton was about to cut him. Tommy Lee knew he was about to get cut. So what he did was he called Bill Parcells and had Bill Parcells call Sean Payton and tell him to keep him on the team. Because there's no way in the world Tommy Lee Lewis should still be on this team. He was outperformed by Brandon Tate and all those, but Brandon Tate gets the X. Very surprising.
Only in the return game, Brandon Tate outperformed him. He didn't do anything receiving though, so I'm wondering if that was a thing. The Saints usually don't operate with a receiver that can't receive, even if you are returning kicks. Every kick returner we had, they operated as a receiver and in return game. How many receptions did he have during the preseason?
Well, I'm pretty sure if he was given the right amount of reps as Tommy Lee Lewis was given, he probably would have outperformed Tommy Lee Lewis.
Well,
the Saints gave Tommy Lee Lewis every opportunity to make it, while Brandon Tate didn't receive those repetitions.
It's still all woulda, coulda, shoulda, my man. I mean, there's no proof.
At the end of the day, was the proof is he called Bill Parcells, had him to call Sean Payton and told him to keep him on the team. That's what happened. But anyway, let's go to the tight end situation.
Bill Parcells still pulling strings.
That's right. Absolutely. Benjamin Watson, Josh Hill, and Dan Arnold. That's right. Dan Arnold made the position as who man ended up on the injured list. And, of course, offensive linemen, Teron Armstead, Andrews Pete, Max Unger, Larry Warford, Ryan Ramczyk. Of course, those guys make it the reserves. The Bushrod Clapp, who was a 7th-round pick this year, and Cameron Tom. Wasn't impressed with Tom, but he obviously impressed Peyton enough he made the team. Defensive ends, Cam Jordan, Alex Okafor, Trey Hendrickson, Marcus Davenport, and one of our favorite, Mitchell Lowen, makes the team. Defensive tackles, Sheldon Rankins, Daniel Onyemata, Tyler Davison, and Taylor Stallworth. How about that? Taylor Stallworth was able to make the team over Devereaux Lawrence, Woody Hamilton, Jay Bromley, and the rest of those guys. So big ups to Taylor Stallworth, an undrafted guy that came all the way from the bottom of the team to make the team. That's why I really love the Saints, because if you can play ball, the Saints got a spot for you. They don't care where you're at. True. Linebackers, Demario Davis, A.J. Klein, Alex Anzalone, Manti Te'o, Craig Robertson, and Nate Stupar. Linebackers, the cornerbacks, Marshawn Lattimore, Ken Crawley, Pat Robertson, P.J. Williams makes the team. Arthur Mollett, bigs up to him, and Justin Hardy did enough to earn his role onto the team. And the safeties, Marcus Williams, Kurt Coleman, Von Bell, Chris Banjo, and a surprise to us, we thought it'd been Cameron Moore, but J.T. Gray. Nobody on this, nobody in the world would have picked J.T. Gray to be a safety on the Saints this year, except for J.T. Gray and his parents and his family and his friends.
What did J.T. Gray do? Did we ever mention him during?
We did mention J.T. Gray when I made the statement that there are two JTs on the team, J.T. Gray and J.T. Barrett. That's pretty much it. But special teams, Will Lutz, Thomas Morstead, and Zach Wood, no surprise there. Now, DC, I went over the whole 53-man roster as it stands. Give me your impressions on this 53. And surprise.
At this point, man, I see some places where I don't think we're set at. Like, I definitely see us making another move at running back. I don't ever remember the Saints going into a game with just 3 running backs active. At least 4. I've seen us do 4 before, so it's obvious to me a running back is gonna be moved around in there. I don't know who is gonna leave off the team, but maybe one of these offensive linemen. I don't know. It's very odd to me to see them with only basically 3 running backs. I'm pretty sure we're gonna add another running back. And what we were just talking about before, J.T. Gray, man, very weird. Very weird. Chris Banjo and Justin Hardy. Okay, we know why they kept them. J.T. Gray? I didn't see that. I just didn't see that coming.
J.T. Gray really surprised the hell out of me. I was not expecting to see his names. I was expecting to see J.T. Gray in the first day of cuts. You know, the roster that's left. Definitely J.T. Gray is the surprise guy for me and his team. Now, the Saints have, like I said, they haven't released the practice squad roster just yet. That probably will happen on Sunday. But still in all, we got a pretty decent idea who the Saints are going to bring here. Now, DC, of course, the Nate Stupar thing, moving to that. Nate Stupar had some rumblings around that there might have been interest. The Saints trying to gauge up interest to move him. Looked like not much coming back on there, and so we might end up keeping Nate, which is a good thing for the special teams where you have Justin Hardy, Chris Banjo, Nate Stupar, and everything else. We have a fabulous special team group of special team aces, and I'm just happy to have those guys. Trey Edmonds is another terrific player for us on special teams. So the Saints have a pretty decent, pretty good special teams. I don't know if Bo Scott's going to be taking some of the kick return duties of Ted Ginn Jr., but it can't be Tommy Lee unless some kind of way he found a way around to be able to learn how to kick return and do what he need to do. I don't get it. I thought Brandon Tate was the guy for the position as I go back to that. So.
I definitely thought the same, man. So, I mean, you weren't alone there. Brandon Tate did real good kick returning. Punt returning, not so much. Him and Tommy Lee about what punt returning. But kick returning, he had a few big returns. I thought that was enough to get him roll on team. Guess I was wrong.
The Saints, obviously, what Sean Payton said about the fact that they are looking for other players outside of the players that's in the building. That's evidenced by the fact that they made the trade to get Bridgewater. Then the fact that they signed McAvoy. They know where the weaknesses are in this team, and they are doing whatever they feel they need to do to empower the team. And perhaps, no doubt about it, in my mind state, is that I'm saying the Saints are definitely looking at the waiver wire to bring in another player. And, of course, one of the articles that was out there from Saints Wire, which is a good publication for you guys to check out, 5 waiver wire players the Saints could look at to be on the team. And one of those 5 players would have run Alabama running back, Bo Scarborough, who was released by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, of course, people say, well, the Saints not going to be looking at Bo Scarborough, but let me tell you something. Bo Scarborough is from the university.
Why wouldn't they look at Bo Scarborough? Who are these people saying that?
They got people out there that's like that. You'll be amazed. But the commonalities between the links to the Saints could be very clear. The fact of the matter that Bo Scarborough is a SEC back from Alabama. We have a guy from Alabama that's on a team that just so happens to be missing a month.
Yes, we do.
And, of course, there's a gaping hole there. The fact that Jonathan Williams who was the favorite to fill that hole was then cut. So it's definitely a potentiality that Bo Scarborough could come in and fill that void because he does have a relationship with Mark Ingram. And I'm just saying, man, it just fits. It fits in my mind. Now, whether it'll happen, who knows? But we'll just have to wait and see. But they did release Williams. They got rid of him. So with Williams out, you can say, well, you can put Trey Edmonds in that role. I just don't see it. Trey Edmonds wasn't used in that role all preseason long. Then all of a sudden you're going to ask him to do it in a regular season?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. So to what me and my football logic is telling me that the Saints are going to bring in another running back. And I just say Bo Scarborough would be perfect. He's huge. 6'3", 6'4", 230 pounds, runs fast, is just an awesome player, falls forward and gets you 4 yards.
No doubt.
I mean, it's the perfect fit. So it would make so much sense to be able to have a guy like that can come in and clean up in the later game. He comes in the 4th quarter and cleans up where opposing defenses is tired and holding their waist. Bo Scarborough comes in and scar drags them. So that's what I'm saying. That just makes so much sense. What you think about that, DC?
I think that's an excellent pick, man. But I can't beat the drum anymore on Bo Scarborough more than you have, man. You pretty much took it all. Like, you ain't leave no meat on the bone up. But this guy got hurt running a 33-yard touchdown, man. He hurt his hip. So I don't know how serious that is. Hopefully it's not serious. If that's not serious, I could definitely see the Saints doing that, or maybe even have talked to him already. But another guy I'm interested in off of that Saints Wire article is Corey Coleman, man. Little bit of a head case, but that's what they're saying. I don't know him personally, but Corey Coleman is a speedster, man. He's a speedster. He's a shifty guy, kind of like Tommy Lee Lewis. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they brought Tommy Lee back. Maybe they're looking at possibly signing this guy. He's entertaining other offers. If they can't get him, keep Tommy Lee. Maybe if they can, they let Tommy Lee go. I think he would definitely be an upgrade over Tommy Lee. This dude was, number 15 pick or something, first round last year? He made some plays last year. He didn't look too bad before he got injured. Had some touchdowns, some yards there. So I think that's a very interesting guy to see get cut off of Buffalo, though. So I can't talk him up the way you did Bo Scarborough, because we know Zeke is there in Dallas, but Buffalo doesn't even have any receiver. So maybe I'm just wishing, hopefully, own potential. But I definitely would like to see. I think Corey Coleman would fit as a 5 receiver.
Yeah,
or a 6.
could very well be, and keep it monitored and see what other moves the Saints make moving forward into the season. So it's good to have the preseason over with as we get ready for the regular season, which is a big thing. Now, going into our question of the day, which is, which cut surprised you the most that the Saints made? What roster cut surprised you the most as far as the Saints are concerned? Now, remember, we read all of our replies on the following show. So you guys chime in, tell us what you thought about who is the most surprising cut that the Saints made as they trimmed down to 53. Well, that'll do it for the show. Thank you guys for joining us on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the Guy. As always, if you enjoyed the show, go to our Patreon page.com/the PRO Media Network and make a donation. You can donate, make a one-time donation, or sign up for monthly to support the platform as we continue to give you this good Saints work. Also, you can sign up our social media pages at Facebook, Instagram, etc. And remember our Twitter and Facebook pages. We blast out new Saints information on Twitter and Facebook every day. Multiple reports, so you don't have to go and search for any more Saints news. Just sign up with the Sports Coma Facebook and Instagram page and get it at your beck and call. As always, thank you for joining us. From me and DC and the crew, peace.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Are you a diehard black and gold New Orleans Saints fan who wants to show everybody that your team is number one? Then go and click the link below and get all the latest Saints gear to rep your team. Now in stock on Fanatic. Ladies, men, and kids Saints jerseys, hats, t-shirts, license plates, and auto accessories, backpacks and bags, collectibles, footwear, pet accessories, tailgating and party supplies, and a whole lot more. Plus, for 24 hours only, you can receive free shipping on all orders over $29. That's right, for 24 hours, simply using the code 29SHIP. So what are you waiting for? Hit the link below and rep the black and gold today. Who that?
What's up, Sports World? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, Rapid Fire TSC, and others, we will be expanding out and offering other content like movie, anime, and gaming reviews for your entertainment. So if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.